Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the number one sports podcast on the entire planet. I'm your host, Drake Tharp, and yes, it's another Friday release. I know you're all expecting Wednesdays. Wednesday's the day. It's the day I've been going on and doing, the drops on. But, Fridays have just worked out a little better for me as of late. I know it's coming out once a week, okay? What more do you want from me? But, they've just been working out better. Not gonna lie, I get a little lazy sometimes, a little secret, but yeah, so we're dropping it another Friday here. I don't know if that's gonna be like how it's gonna be throughout from here on out, but just one, I'm just trying to get it once a week, just consistently, so, as long as we're there, and you guys don't expect so much from me, we're all good. So we got a lot of news on the table today. A lot of people got paid, a lot of players. Actually, just one player and one coach, but that's, a couple of people got paid. So we're going to jump into the first guy, Kyler Murray, quarterback, Arizona Cardinals, the Oklahoma multi-sport athletic stallion. Let's talk about it. Kyler Murray. He's been the chosen one for the Cardinals ever since he's been drafted. He was a stud in baseball and football in college. He was selected number 1 overall. In the MLB draft as well. Kyler Murray is just an athletic phenom as we know it. But he essentially has took on this bully persona, and it seems like he's bullied his way into this new contract. It looks like a 5-year, $230 million contract. The fact that it took this long proves the Cardinals were hesitant in the first place, and there was still some tension there. I believe there's still tension there after the contract that they didn't want to pull the trigger on him, and Kyler was basically like, okay, if you don't want me, you don't sign me then. I'm out of here. So I feel like this contract has blood written all over it. I feel like there's hesitation and tension written all over it. Kyler Murray is a regular season monster. Let's not get that proven wrong. But yet, has he proven he's enough to lead his team into the promised land? The promised land for them has been the playoffs, and they just got there last year. It's been 3 years. Guys like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen have proven their way into the playoffs within their second and third year. Kyler Murray was, essentially in his third year and, lost a wild card game to the Super Bowl champions, okay? Let's not forget they're in a very tough conference where two of the teams there essentially made the NFC title game. Okay, let's not forget that. They have had all the receiving talent in the world, though. DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Zach Ertz, guys like that. AJ Green, kind of stepped up there. And the front office has made numerous moves on both ends, picking up J.J. Watt, keeping Chandler Jones. Buda Baker's become a stud. And, yet it is early in Kyler's career. So there's a lot of pros and cons to this. This re-signing. The hesitation and timing, though, is key in this situation, in my opinion. It shows that the Cardinals probably wanted to do a do-or-die year with Kyler Murray on his last, year of his rookie contract. But Kyler wanted that extension very bad, or else he basically said he was walking. This isn't all proven by sources, but, you can kind of tell what was going down based on what took place, okay? So I don't like how this went down for the Cardinals and or Kyler Murray. I feel like he's bullied his way into this new deal. We'll see. He's gotten better, statistics-wise over the course of 3 years. His completion percentage has, consistently gone up. His quarterback rating has gone up. His passing yards, his interception to touchdown ratio is decent. His rushing yards are incredible. So Kyler Murray, regular season, monster. But, proving in the playoffs, it's been tough for them. The first 2 years, they didn't make the playoffs. They've had a great team around them, defensively and offensively. I feel like they could use, a rushing talent a little more. But he has proven he's enough to lead his team into the playoffs. Is he enough to be elite and get him to a Super Bowl? We'll see. But, statistics-wise, Kyler Murray's getting better every year. I don't see why he doesn't deserve that contract, but I could also see why the Cardinals are hesitant because it's been 3 years. Guys like Mahomes, Josh Allen are succeeding, from a draft prior, or essentially two drafts prior. So, it was the Chiefs' second year with Patrick Mahomes where he won an MVP. It was Lamar's third year where he won an MVP. So, and it was Kyler's year last year. He was in MVP voting throughout the season last year. Kind of towards the end of the season, kind of fell off. And, Cardinals were just a regular season team at that point. So I think next year's a do or die year, but they just signed the contract. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Let's talk about another guy who got paid, a 10-year contract. This guy's a coach, Kirby Smart for Georgia. Well-deserved, in my opinion. And, this is just going to be a little hats-off segment. Kirby Smart elevating Georgia to, Georgia was always a good stallion team, but they were never, an elite Alabama-level team. Let's be honest here. And now, last year they've beaten Alabama, and as much hate as I put on the SEC and, the title game, how it's constantly SEC loved and the committee just has a cream fest in their pants over them. Kirby Smart's put a good college team to the elite stage and has elevated players that, we've never heard of to elite stages. And, he puts a lot of defensive players to their highest potential. Georgia had an outstanding draft this year. Hats off to Kirby Smart. Georgia found, a gem within that young man, or old man. Excuse me. He's not young. Sorry, Kirby, if you're watching this. Probably not watching this. I don't have a lot of viewers. So, anywho, just a little hats off to Kirby Smart there. Georgia fans should be happy with that. This guy is a player elevator, per se. So, next on the list, let's jump over to the NBA. Talked a lot of football so far. Donovan Mitchell. So let's look at some top trade spots. I gave a little tease last week on the Donovan Mitchell segment. I got 3 teams here who I think would like to use Donovan Mitchell to the better or for the worse, maybe. But these teams are, in my opinion, are the top 3. One of them, not a lot of people are talking about, but I'll give a case why. All right, the 2 obvious ones. Let's start with one of them, the Knicks. Okay, they have plenty in stock for trade picks, young players, and they can easily make a trade here for Donovan Mitchell. I don't see the Knicks making progressive moves with Julius Randle as the number 1 guy and R.J. Barrett as the 2. That's just not going to happen. They got Jalen Brunson as a good 3. I think Donovan Mitchell, a trade for him, maybe trade R.J. Barrett, a few picks. This would elevate the Knicks. Donovan would be the number 1 guy. Julius would be a very strong number 2. Jalen Brunson would be a strong 3. Okay, this can elevate their squad to the next level. Problem is, can Donovan be the number 1? Okay, it's proven in the NBA that if your number 1 guy isn't of the caliber of Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic, Giannis, you can't be a finals team. Devin Booker proved he can be a number 1 scoring option alongside strong number 2, Chris Paul, who's the best, point guard in the, solid point guard in the NBA. So when you have guys like that, I don't know if Donovan's a great ISO scorer, but can he get to a team to the elite stage? Because the Jazz over the past few seasons have been regular season monsters, but then they end up as a 5th seed in the West in the playoffs and get, beaten first round. So, I think Donovan, there's a lot of issues in Utah why it wouldn't work out. I don't think he had a strong number 2 ever. Rudy Gobert wasn't a scorer. He was a defensive machine, but, you got to have scoring on both ends. So the Knicks, they have plenty in stock to make a big trade for Donovan Mitchell. He'd be the number 1 in New York. Randall would be a very strong number 2. I think it would elevate their squad to the next level, if I'm being honest. I think the Knicks would be very solid in the East. That's very tight. They had a very tight playoff race last year, and I think this is a trade that would just elevate them into, a top 4 team possibly in the East. The next one on the list is the Heat. Okay, this is where Donovan Mitchell can kind of take a back seat. Is he a backseat driver, or does he want to be driving the bus? This is where we got to decide here. Donovan can be a number 2, maybe even a number 3 guy on the Heat, depending on how Bam Adebayo pans out. The Heat have young players like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, who can be tempting in a trade with the Jazz along with picks. Okay, I think the Knicks and Heat here. Those 2 options are very opposite when it comes to how they're going to use Donovan Mitchell. Jimmy Butler's obviously the number 1 guy on the Heat. But they play a lot of team-oriented ball, so there comes a point where Bam might be the number 1 guy a game, or Jimmy Butler might be the number 1 guy. Tyler Hero might be the number 1 guy. I think it changes game from game for the Miami Heat. But Donovan Mitchell there, it could be like that over there. Then he'd be a strong number 2 or 3. I think he can take a back seat, though, if he ends up in Miami. But with the Knicks, I think he'd be the face of New York, essentially. So the Heat and Knicks, very top 2 for Donovan Mitchell's trade spots, but they're very opposite in the way I think they'd use him. Last on the list, nobody's really talking about, but let's talk about New Orleans, the Pelicans. They have young players like Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and to top it all off, get another young stallion like Donovan Mitchell in there. A big three? Yes. But I don't know why this is bluntly obvious. And, a big three with Mitchell, Ingram, and Zion would be deadly. With the right facilitator, the Pelicans have trade bait with CJ McCollum and a plethora of picks. So they have Alvarado as well, who made a strong case for being a prime defender for a team. Get a package with him, McCollum, and a load of picks. The Jazz already got a load of picks for Gobert, so I don't think, an asking price for Donovan Mitchell would be too crazy, considering the fact they basically stole all of Minnesota's picks. But I think this is a bluntly obvious situation here that no one seems to be talking about. I don't understand why a big three wouldn't, elevate all of these guys, especially in the West where, you have to score. As long as Zion stays healthy, Brandon Ingram continues to play the way he's been playing, Donovan Mitchell would fit right in my opinion. Not a lot of, defensively, that team might struggle a little bit, but if they have the right facilitator, that team could be very deadly. So Donovan Mitchell to the Pelicans, that's the one I like a lot. I don't think there's really any ones or twos in that lineup. I think they're all equally good at scoring, just in their own way. So New Orleans, if I were you, I'd pull a trigger. Like with Donovan Mitchell, you traded away Anthony Davis. Now it's time to gain back a superstar 3 years later. Get it done. Get it done, New Orleans. All right, for the main event of the show, we're doing a little game. All right, so I don't know if I have the technology to have my screen on, but we're going to do a little wheel spin quarterback promised land game simulator. So I'm going to spin the wheel of NFL teams, and I'm going to tell you if I think their quarterback can lead their team into the Super Bowl, like potentially. Or lead the team into, is this the guy they want to go with in the future? Is this the guy for their future? So we're going to start off here. Spin the wheel. It's spinning. Sorry, I don't have a screen recorder right now, but okay. Oakland Raiders. I like this one a lot. Derek Carr. I think he is the guy. No doubt about it. He just got his old college receiver, Devontae Adams, back on the squad. He, over the past few years, I don't think the Raiders have had, a chunk of receiving threats that changed the game. Derek Carr has been consistently good throughout, his time with the Raiders. He led them into the playoffs a few times. And at this point, his stats are great. He was a contender for MVP earlier on in the season. Derek Carr has been putting up great numbers every single year, no matter who's on the receiving corps. The receiving corps has changed a lot, and he just adapts to the offense no matter who's on there, and he makes other guys better. An example, Bryan Edwards. I don't think we would have heard of this guy. He's the third receiver right now for the Raiders. I don't think we would have heard of this guy if it wasn't for Derek Carr. So Derek Carr, I think he is the guy for the Raiders, and I think he'll retire a Raider most likely. Spin the wheel again. Here we go. Arizona Cardinals. We just talked about it. Kyler Murray, like I said, it's a do or die year, even though he just signed the contract. I think if they don't go to the playoffs or get a playoff win, I think it's maybe time to move on from Kyler, or maybe not move on from him, but change the way up of how they've been building their team. They've got a lot of star players. They're kind of going all out. So I think it's a do or die year for Kyler, though. If the quarterbacks are going nuts right now. So, like young quarterbacks are progressing faster than what they normally would. Let's just say that. And Kyler's not doing that. So, new team. Here we go. I like this one a lot. Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers. Is this the guy? No, it's not. It's been blatantly obvious for the past 10 years after not making the Super Bowl when you're the best quarterback in all the damn land. I think it's blatantly obvious on both sides. I think Aaron Rodgers should have moved on from the Packers. They don't give him the materials he needs. Also, on the front office side, Aaron Rodgers hasn't, shown up in playoff time. So, both sides, I don't understand how they worked it out in the slightest. It beats me. I don't get it. I think it's just love on both sides, and Aaron Rodgers being kind of a pussy. But, other than that, let's just be honest here. This is my bias as a Bears fan coming out completely, but I couldn't care less. Anywho, Ooh, I like this one a lot too. Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts. I like him. I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I think, with the talent they've surrounded him with, they just got Devontae Smith. He's a rookie. Jalen Hurts was a fantasy football machine. He's a guy who can do it all. He led the Eagles to the playoffs. They've progressively gotten better as, time's gone on with him being the starter, other than, when Carson Wentz was. Carson Wentz kind of took a decline after his injury, an MVP studded year per se. But Jalen Hurts has stepped in and, brought the Eagles back to playoff level. They're in the rebuilding stage at the same time too, but they still made the playoffs last year. I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I think he's got great arm talent. He's a very underrated scrambler. And, with a few more receiving threats, I think he can have a dark horse MVP year. All right, last one. Here we go. Okay. San Diego Chargers, Justin Herbert. I think this is obvious. Herbert's the guy, for the next 15 years for the Chargers. His arm talent's incredible. He can fit in windows that nobody else can. He may have the best accuracy in the NFL. Justin Herbert's a gem, and Chargers fans expect a Super Bowl within the next 10 years. Let's just say that, because Justin Herbert is that guy. Anywho, that is all for Drake's Corner, episode 42. Is that 42 already? Holy shit. Anywho, yeah, this was fun. I like doing this little game at the end. We'll probably do more of those. I'm going to elevate my editing skills so I can get it on the screen here. But anywho, thank you guys for watching. It was fun talking about sports, as always. I love it. It's my thing. And I will see you guys next time. Maybe next Wednesday, maybe next Friday, maybe next never. I don't know. We'll see. Anywho, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good rest of your night. Peace.